Terry Rushy. I started Sucha.com. Cool.
Terry talks about running his company on an inverted pyramid structure. So that's where the president kind of supports what the other members are doing. We talked about that in class as well, where it's the president's role to make sure everyone else's needs are being met without putting themselves kind of at the top of the pyramid. In my personal leadership life, SEB kind of runs in that same structure where we have the group of the leadership team, I guess, so the president and the vice president and things like that, where their goal is to make sure that all the people they oversee have exactly what they want to happen. So we're kind of there to facilitate what's going on. So in the interview, we kind of talked about that structure and how it works, and it seems to work really well for both my organization and his company. So it's cool to see that in a real world perspective.
So I used to work with Sucha.com, and that's how I first met Terry and had the idea that we should use him for this project. But he was always someone who stressed that he wanted to be more of a leader than a manager, and he was never someone to like micromanage me with all the projects that we had. And he wanted to know me on like a personal level more than just him telling me this is what you have to do, like you better get it done. No, so I wanted to be the person to empower people to share the same vision with me and to go along with that, just so we can have more of a community kind of feel to any organization that I'm in, instead of more of just like master and leader, or master and follower. But yeah, and yeah, also it spoke about that in the book too, about the difference between a leader and a manager, and he spoke exactly about that, and that is why I went working for Sucha.
I remember at the beginning of the class, early in the semester, we talked about whether leaders are born or bred, and after doing this interview, I really saw that leaders are not always born. People aren't always born with leadership qualities such as charisma or public speaking skills or stuff like that. I remember I argued that 50% of leaders are born into it, and that's obviously not true. For me, my leadership qualities have improved over my entire life, just being involved in organizations such as the SA fraternity, or like being part of sports teams, stuff like that, really helps develop me. And it shows that leaders, you're bred into leadership through the obstacles and the challenges that you face that help you become a better person. In the interview, Terry talks about, Terry agrees that leaders are bred. For him, it was learning from his dad and developing his company that helped him become who he is right now. He also talks about how leaders aren't always the people you see at the forefront, and they're the ones in the back who manage everything and who really put in the extra work. So leaders don't always have to be the ones that you see all the time, and that's usually what people assume our leaders are, the ones in front of people speaking about this and that. But there's leadership in everyone, and it could definitely develop over time. So go Sucha.
I think people are pompous, like that want to be leaders. They like to be in front of people and talk. I'm certainly like one of those people. But I think a real leader is kind of real leadership positions and real leadership characteristics are kind of grown into. You can be that person who stands out in front of people and says, this is what I want to do and this is what I think you should do, and that's great. But like, it takes a lot of composure and poise and experience, I think, ultimately, to make you a true leader. And I hope that like at some point I can feel like, I've had that experience and I feel comfortable enough to like lead people. But I'm fortunate enough to have this experience where I can begin and work with cool people who are, willing to let me lead them.